Processing the Trauma of Growing Up Gay. Hey guys, Michael Pizzulo here, psychotherapist in West Hollywood. So most gay men have a vague understanding that growing up gay was challenging to a certain degree. Obviously, it's gotten a lot better for younger generations, but for most gay men, at least over the age of 30, there was a lot of secrecy, shame, and confusion that they internalized. And while I think a lot of gay men are aware that they suffer scars and wounds from growing up like this, I think that a lot of them don't know what to do with all of that now that they are adults. So I want to give you 4 clear steps you can consider taking if you want to begin processing this. So the first one is to assess the impact. So, we all, I think, have a vague understanding that a child growing up internalizing a lot of shame about their sexuality and their identity and having to keep secrets isn't good for them, right? But what you really want to do is think about what was the specific impact it had on you. And to do this, just to make it simple, pick one moment that you remember feeling particularly ashamed. Maybe it was the most you can recall, or even one where it was just a lot, but might have been a moment where you were bullied for being more effeminate, or maybe someone called you gay and it triggered you, or try to find a moment where you recall feeling upset about what you are beginning to understand about yourself. And what you're going to want to do is really detail out what that boy felt, what that kid felt, what he was going through. Get a really clear picture of what he internalized, because this is different from person to person, and capturing one moment like this can help you get clarity. The second thing is going to be identifying your triggers today. So when we carry these wounds and traumas from our past, there are going to be moments in your present day life where you get triggered, right? And what you're going to want to do is start to become more accustomed to and understanding of your unique triggers. So for example, it might be when you're in gay spaces. So it might be walking into a gym, you feel really insecure, going to a club. It could be the opposite. It could be being around a bunch of straight men that you feel unsafe. So what you want to do is really pick your top 3 triggers today, where you feel the most insecure, and insecure in a similar way to how that boy felt when he was a kid. So you're going to want to look for gay shame triggers in particular, not just I got in an airplane and I felt anxious because I was on a flight, but things that are connected to identity, things that remind you of how you felt when you were that young kid who was just beginning to understand himself. And the third step, and this is the most important one, is you're gonna need to learn to love that boy that you were. So I think what most people do is when they experience a moment of a lot of shame from when they're a kid, they try everything they can do to distance themselves from that boy. They are repulsed by him, they wanna be the opposite of him, and they often come up with a lot of perfectionism or overcompensating or anything to distract, right? You're going to want to do the opposite. Your job is going to be learning to love that boy more than anyone. And I think often what happens is that when we become aware of our triggers, what we try to do is avoid our triggers. And also too, we try to sort of demand that other people cater to our triggers. And that's not realistic at all, right? If you get insecure going into a gym, you can't, you could avoid the gym, but that's going to limit your life, right? And you can't, demand that everyone at the gym go out of their way to make you feel welcome or be extra friendly to you, because they're going to do what they're going to do, right? Your job is to take care of yourself in these moments when you feel triggered. And you can do that by really getting in touch with, who was this boy that I was who felt, repulsive, ashamed, maybe hated himself, and learn to love that part of you that you have the most disdain and disgust for. And I think everyone has, parts of us or memories that we feel particular shame about. So you're going to want to go in that direction and really practice finding compassion and love for that person that you were, because that really is where the healing is going to be. And that's something that only you can do for yourself. And then the last thing I would say is building a future where you think of your resilience and not just the pain. So I don't really like the idea that, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But I think often when we think about trauma, we just think of all the ways we were beaten down, and it can get kind of demotivating and frustrating. And so while that's true, you also want to think of, what resilience did I build from this? Because you likely did. And you want to focus on that as well. You also want to focus on, what do I like about being gay? What is a positive impact that I get from this experience I have in life? Rather than looking at it as, a negative that only has negative impacts on me or had negative impacts on me, but how did I grow and how did this actually strengthen my character and my resolve that I can, bring into the rest of my life? So those are 4 clear steps you can take. Again, this is really high level, so you're going to want to work with someone who gets to know you very, very closely and intimately and slowly go through this process. So definitely don't just think that it's 4 quick steps and then you're done. You're going to want to get a therapist or a professional who can really carefully guide you through a process, but hopefully this can get you thinking and, begin wheels turning for you. So hope this was useful. Please subscribe if you like content like this. Let me know in the comments what you think, if you've gone through your own healing journey, and if you want to talk to me directly about working with me as a therapist or a coach, I will put the link to book in the description. And as always, thank you guys so much for checking out my videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.